is female. So he's a transgender, was male, but he's starting to transition to female. He's not married, but all the rest of the kids are married. But I do think he has a boyfriend. I guess would be she now. I'm not super great with the pronouns, but so she, I think, has a boyfriend. And they live together in Park City. But anyways, Jeannie is also a teacher. She teaches first grade. And then Travis is a guide. I'm not sure if he got a college degree, but he's a guide for hunting, R&K hunting, and they live in Wyoming. He's very successful and actually guided Post Malone. Fun fact. For his birthday, he wanted to go hunting, so my uncle helped him. He said Post Malone's a cool guy, so kind of fun. The next sibling is Kara Weston. She married Chris Weston. So this is my aunt, this is my uncle, and they just have one daughter. Chris is a nurse. He works for Ogden Regional, I believe, in ICU. And then Kara, she sells insurance and helps people with her taxes. They both got degrees. They're very successful. And then their one daughter, Lilia, she's one of my favorite cousins. And they actually used to live in Warren as well, but they just moved up here to Mountain Green, which is where I live now because I got married, but I'll get to that. So they're doing great. The next kid is Jared. He's one of the boys. He married Ann England. My uncle Jared is an administrator at the hospital down in St. George, and my aunt Ann is a teacher as well. I don't remember where they met, but they have 4 kids. They have twins, and then a son, another daughter. Actually another son, so they have 5. But they're all close to me because they're around my age, and I've loved hanging out with them. They're some of my favorite cousins. They grew up in Nephi for like pretty much the whole time I was growing up. They moved there, and he was a nurse there, but then he got offered to be the administrator down in St. George, so now they just moved to St. George. The next child would be my mom, but I'll get to her. And then Polly is the next one. Her name is Polly Jensen now. She married Corey Jensen. Corey, he owns a plumbing store in Far West. And my aunt is also a teacher. So lots of teachers in the family, teachers and nurses for sure. Polly has 4 kids. One of her kids is married, the rest are not. And then after that, there is Jill Randall. She married Luke Randall. They live up in Idaho, and Jill is a nurse, and Luke is not a doctor, but an optometrist where they check your eyes. So they both got good educations. They have like 8 kids. They're all younger because she's one of the younger girls, but they're super cute. And then Mark is the youngest, and he's the other boy, and he married Rachel. So that's why it's Mark and Rachel England. They have 4 kids, and they live in Idaho, Meridian. My uncle Mark is a dairy farmer, just like my grandpa. And then Rachel, I don't think she went to school, but she's a hairdresser. But now Mark's very successful. He's in charge of a couple dairies and a lot of teams, so they make pretty good money. So she just stays at home with the kids. And then going to my family. So this is my mom and my dad. So Blake, my dad, he's actually a therapist, like his older sister. He owns his own business in Riverdale. He does great. And then my mom, Nancy, she was a nurse, but then she got promoted to be the administrator. So she's the head administrator at the Layton Surgical Center. She's doing great there. They're very busy. And then they had 3 kids. So my oldest brother's Brennan, and then they had me, and then they had James. So Brennan is married to Lexi. They've been married for 4 years now. They don't have any kids. My brother just applied to med school, so he's just deciding which med schools he wants to go to. So that's been great. And then my sister-in-law is studying nutrition. She wants to be a dietitian. She's almost done with that. Then there's me. I got married about 2 months ago, so I'm still trying to get used to not saying Abigail Halliday. It's Abigail Buckway now. And he is from South Ogden and Morgan and Mountain Green. So we actually live in his parents' basement, and that's why I live in Mountain Green now. And I am studying to be a nurse anesthetist, so medical as well. And then he is an accountant, but he also sells insurance as well. And then my littlest brother, he's actually serving a mission right now. He's in Independence, Missouri. He's not married, obviously. He's on a mission. He's 19. and he's the cutest. He's just the glue of the family. He says he wants to be a psychologist, so kind of following the steps of my dad for like therapy wise. He wants to be a psychologist is what he says, but we'll see if it changes when he gets back. Like I said, between my aunts, like some of my cousins have divorces, and like we have some transgender stuff, so that's probably like the brunt of it. But to be honest, my family, everyone gets along. There really hasn't been a lot of issues. The only thing I would mention, I guess, is maybe some emotional abuse. When my mom was growing up, my grandparents were just very busy, and they had 8 kids, and so she felt just like a number. So I would say definitely with her parents, there's not a great relationship. I have a good relationship with my grandparents, but my mom probably is the one that she doesn't really go to family stuff just because she's not comfortable being around her parents a ton. They have had a couple conversations, but nothing really has become of it. So there's that. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes here. Other than that, everything else is great. There's not really anything crazy. It talks about going over a triangle. Hold on. I think it's like 2 relationship triangle. I would for sure say one of them would be with my grandparents. Like I said, my mom didn't really feel like she had a relationship with them, and so it'd be for sure damaged on her side. And then the other would be actually me and my parents. For a while, me and my mom kind of butted heads just because I didn't understand the whole thing with her parents. I didn't understand why she's like more antisocial. Later came to find out that she does have some mental health issues. She's suffered with anxiety and depression, and she's the only one in my family that I know that's had some mental stuff. But she's doing a lot better now. She goes to therapy and takes medications, and she's doing great. Sorry, to wrap this up, just wanted to talk a little bit about like what makes my family my family. So the first thing is really big is we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So religion's very big. That's very, very important to us. All of us have been married in the temple. We all have served missions, which will lead over to my next one, which is the Latin culture. So my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law, my husband, we all speak Spanish just because of the missions we served in. So I would definitely say Spanish and Latin culture is big in our family. We're not Latin at all. We don't have any of that in our blood, but just because of our missions, we do feel like that's special to us. One thing that's big in my family is love. I feel like because of my mom's trauma, she's done really good to make sure all the kids have felt loved, equal time, which is hard. I mean, there's only 3 of us, but she just was great at like making sure we all felt loved and accepted, and we're just great parents. Education obviously is high priority. All of us have had college degrees or have been to college and have worked hard for that. Healthcare as well. I think everyone in my family is healthcare. My mom's a nurse. I want to be a nurse anesthetist. My dad's a therapist. My brother is gotten to med school, and James my little brother wants to be a psychologist. That's all medical. We definitely love the outdoors. We spend a lot of our times hiking, camping, fishing. We're very active. We love sports. So anything outdoors that we can just spend together as a family, we love. And then the last thing that I love that my family instilled in me was hard work. And I think that's the reason that makes all this possible is it's hard to keep relationships and to do all that, but we all worked really hard to have educations, work in a relationship. We're all very close-knit family. Like I said, there's really not a lot of drama or anything like that. And so, yeah, that is my family. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you.